Hey there, folks. Scott Travis talking to you here from the Sports Den. And tonight it's an important night. We've got the first game of the ALDS between the Boston Red Sox and the Cleveland Indians. The Red Sox went 93 and 69 on the season and won the American League East, while the Indians finished one game ahead of us overall at 94 and 67 and won the AL Central. That's why they have home field advantage in this best of five series, unfortunately. But here we go. Overall, I'm going to say right off the gate, I like the Red Sox in this series. I think they have a better team from top to bottom. But I'll get into some of the specifics and mention what I think is going to happen. First of all, let's start with tonight's starter, Rick Porcello, who is a very good candidate to be the Cy Young Award winner in the American League. He comes in with a 22-4 record and a 3.15 ERA on the season overall. He also has a career 10-4 record with a 3.35 ERA versus the Indians in his career. And in his last six starts against them, he's 5-1 with a 1.69 ERA. So we like that matchup of Porcello versus the Indians. It would be better if it was at Fenway, but we'll take it because he's had overall success against Cleveland to begin with. Now, the Indians, unfortunately for them, they had problems with their starting pitching staff staying healthy. They will be without Carlos Carrasco and Danny Salazar, two of their better pitchers in the rotation. And also Corey Kluber, who is one of their top pitchers, comes in as a little bit injured. So that's why he is not getting the ball tonight in Game 1. Tonight it's going to be Trevor Bauer, who is 12-8, who went 12-8 and with a 4.26 ERA on the season. But the big number that jumps out at you is in his career, in 3 appearances, 2 of them starts, he's 0-2 with a 12.91 ERA. So hopefully the Red Sox, and this is going to be the theme for all the games, can jump all over these starters, especially Bauer tonight, and get ahead, and that way the game doesn't have to come down to the bullpen later on, and I'll get into that in a second. First of all, let's look at the two teams head-to-head. We all know Terry Francona from his time in Boston. He's an excellent manager. He knows how to utilize his players and his bullpen. He won 2 World Series here with the Red Sox in 04 and 07, and we all know he's turned Cleveland around and gotten them back into the postseason. On our side, John Farrell, much maligned, especially criticized by me on a lot of occasions for some of his in-game decisions or non-decisions, leaving a starter in too long, sending a guy, leaving him in and sending him back out for the 7th, even though he struggled. He did that with David Price a couple of starts ago against New York. So there's different things about John Farrell that concern you, and in a series like this that, could come down to who makes the best decisions on who's going to pitch when. Cleveland certainly, I think, has the advantage in Francona over Farrell. But that's about it for their advantages. Now, the rest of the team, the way they match up, the Red Sox offense led the league in runs scoring, and they're solid from 1 through 9, no matter whether they're having a platoon, and the platoons will come in at third base, possibly with Brock Holt being the starter, and if it's a lefty, if we see any lefties, you could see Aaron Hill pinch hit or get a start, throughout the playoffs. That'll happen. Travis Shaw is an extra that can play third or first, which comes in handy and did play a majority of the season at third. So he's reliable defensively if there is a need there to make a change. The overall starting rotations, I think the Red Sox do have an advantage with Porcello, as I mentioned earlier. David Price, 0-7 career record in the postseason, has a lot to prove. And certainly until he goes out and pitches a good game, and he's going to be the Game 2 starter, till he pitches a good game, the book is still out on him whether he can be a good postseason pitcher because he's never done it to this point. Clay Buchholz is up and down pitcher, certainly somebody I've been on because he is so inconsistent, but he seems to be pitching very well. And when he pitches very well, he can be highly effective. Cleveland, like I mentioned, missing some starters, so they've got Bauer, who would go today, and he would actually come back in a possible Game 4 because they don't have enough pitching. And then they have Corey Kluber and Tomlin. So Red Sox definitely have it over them in the starting rotations. The relief pitching for the Red Sox has come down and gotten a lot better during the stretch of the season. I think once Koji Uehara came back, everybody kind of got a roll, and it worked out well. Guys like Matt Barnes, Robbie Ross Jr., Koji in the 8th has been very effective. Brad Ziegler, a former closer, can pitch in the 8th. Drew Pomerantz, who spent the season in the starting rotation, has now moved to the pen, but he has pitched out of the pen in recent seasons with San Diego and Oakland, so he can handle that transition. And he came in his one appearance, and his fastball reached 96. So I think he could be a dangerous new weapon out of that pen short term for an inning or so, 7th or 8th inning or somewhere. And Joe Kelly has just done the same thing. He's gotten his act together since coming back up from Pawtucket, and he's throwing close to 100 miles an hour. So those are guys that you feel comfortable about. Craig Kimbrell, a lot of saves, a lot of excitement, though. Sometimes he comes in, he's wild. If John Farrell does, as he said he would, bring him into a non-save situation, he has struggled in that role every time he's been brought into it. Preferably, Kimbrell only comes in with a save situation where it's a 3-run or less lead. We're not tied, we're not trailing, because he's not effective. So hopefully that doesn't happen. The rest of the Red Sox lineup, the way it comes out, it's no surprise. Hanley Ramirez is at first. Dustin Pedroia at second. Xander Bogaerts having an exciting year this year at short. And then Brock Holt's going to get the starts at third. But like I said, Aaron Hill could be involved in a platoon situation. And you also have Travis Shaw. Backup infielder, another one would be Marco Hernandez, who can play most of the infield positions. Outfielders, again, no surprise. You have Mookie Betts, the potential MVP candidate. In right, you have Jackie Bradley Jr., who was fantastic in the field and actually had a great season at the plate with 270 average, hitting 26 home runs. So certainly a bona fide major league star now. And in left field, young Andrew Benintendi is healthy. He'll get the start against the right-handers as well. You also have Chris Young as the backup outfielder who could come on in a pinch-hitting situation and, again, against an Andrew Miller or a nasty, filthy lefty like that throughout the series and throughout the postseason if the Red Sox advance, which I expect them to do. The catchers, Sandy Leone came out of nowhere this year. Always had been a solid defensive catcher, but came on with his offense this year, so he's the starter. And then because Cleveland does have some base runners that can run, Christian Vasquez has gotten the nod as the backup catcher because he is exceptional defensively. So if the Red Sox do make a move or have to pinch hit for Leone or whatever happens, they've got Vasquez to come in and certainly handle the pitching staff and the defensive part well. Cleveland has a solid lineup, and they have a pretty good defense, but I think the Red Sox are just better in all phases. Again, it's going to come down to maybe if the games are close, managerial decisions, and the bullpens. Yeah, who can actually get the job done. I think the keys for this all the way through, the Red Sox scoring early and often, getting ahead, and not making the Cleveland bullpen a factor. The other part of this, we all know that's going to play a huge role, I think, is the David Ortiz retirement factor, because he's going out. The team has played hard all year, got him a division title, got him into the postseason because they want to see him go out a winner. So I think that whole aura of Ortiz's final season sent him out a winner. That is a big, tangible thing that will play into this. And also the experience of the Ortiz's, the Pedroias, the Buckholzes, who know that in years past, even if you get down or you lose a game in the series, you can bounce back and win. And we all know what happened. The Red Sox, in 04, the only team to ever come back from 3-0, led by David Ortiz. So that's how I'm looking at it, folks. I think it's going to be a great series, but I think the Red Sox should handle this pretty well. Like I said, I think Porcello can win. If all goes well, it'll go Porcello in 1. Game 1, Price in Game 2, Buchholz in Game 3. And if the Red Sox are ahead, you could see Eduardo Rodriguez in Game 4. If not, they could bring Porcello back on 3 days rest and just skip Eduardo Rodriguez. So that's how it looks. I think the Red Sox are going to win this series, and I can't wait for it to start. And I will be checking in throughout the series. And as usual, follow me on all my platforms. I'm Scott Travis Sports News on Facebook, and you can follow me on Twitter at Scott Travis SN, where everything that I post on my sports news page goes there, and then I retweet everything that's the greatest hot stories of the day. So thank you for watching. Go Red Sox, and I'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.